Welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my wife, Carol. How are you doing today, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. It's been a good week here. It's October 29th, 1999.
It is.
And we... What?
It's Mark's birthday.
Yeah,
happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Everybody wish him a happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm a John Malkovich age or a different age. But yeah, we watched Being John Malkovich this week. Carol, what did you think of Being John Malkovich?
So fucking weird.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like no other way to describe this movie but bizarre.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think it's my favorite movie of the year.
Really?
And it might be in my top 5 movies.
Wow. That's some pretty high praise.
Like, I'll have to watch it again, probably, do some evaluation. I haven't stopped thinking about it since we watched it. I think it's the funniest movie of the year.
Really?
Yes.
Because I didn't even find it that amusing.
So I don't want this to devolve into just things I liked about the movie, like bits I liked about the movie. But I am going to start out by naming some bits I liked about the movie.
Okay.
Because there are deep philosophical ideas in this movie. And there's a lot of different avenues we could discuss. And I feel almost ill-prepared just to have this discussion, having not seen the movie like 10 times and written research papers on it and everything. It's really one of, like, philosophically, metaphysically, just character-wise even, just like as character study, it's all very depthful writing.
Oh, yeah.
From a guy, Charlie Kaufman, by the way. I don't know if you know anything about him.
Isn't he a comedian?
I'll say why I think you might think that. This is the first movie he's ever written. He wrote for TV before this. He wrote for the Dana Carvey show, and he wrote for other comedians. There was The Edge or something like that. It was a TV show that he wrote. I know him because he wrote on one of the most surrealistic but hilariously funny sitcoms that only had like one season, from one of my favorite comedians, Chris Elliott, Get a Life.
Okay.
His show, which was great. We have a first time movie writer, screenplay writer in Charlie Kaufman, and Spike Jonze, who we just saw in Three Kings, directed this movie. And this is his first directing job for a movie. I know him also he's directed some commercials and notably many music videos. He directed the Buddy Holly video for Weezer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so first-time director, first-time writer. They're both their first movies. Insane, like how good it is. So... obviously, spoilers, everyone. There is no way to talk about this movie without really spoilers, so please see the movie. I don't know what your recommendation is. I think everyone should go see the movie immediately.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth seeing. It's an interesting movie. And when I said the only way to describe it is bizarre, that doesn't mean that I didn't like it necessarily.
Right.
I really don't know. I'm still processing.
It's one of those movies where you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's also very dark. For as there are some zany, off the wall kind of humor things that are like not zany in a Jim Carrey way, but in a very sardonic, sarcastic, understated way. Like there's The Secretary, where he ends up working, Lester Corp, who is like, I don't understand what you're saying. Just like pretends like she doesn't understand what anyone's saying.
Oh, you think she's pretending not to understand? I thought she was deaf.
No, I think she's... Well, that's interesting, but no, I think that she really does understand a lot of what people are saying, and she pretends like she doesn't, almost like as a defense mechanism or something. And I think the one hint that we get at that is she's talking about his fingers and everything, because he has a weirdly fast fingers. Mm-hmm. John Cusack's character, who you didn't even realize was John Cusack.
I didn't, not right away. He's
a puppeteer, and so he has unusually nimble fingers. But she says something to the effect of, those magic fingers, you could alphabetize me or whatever. And he's like, basically, hey, I'm married and like I'm not interested and everything. And she goes, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you said. And then she walks away and she goes, you bastard. So it's like she clearly understood what he was saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, I don't know. But I guess we can start by setting it up. This is, I guess, more of the character study thing. We are introduced to the puppetry of John Cusack's character. I can't remember his name for some reason.
Oh no.
But,
oh no, I can't either. But yeah, I loved the puppet show in the beginning. It's jarring how good it is. Like the person doing that puppetry, who I know that wasn't John Cusack,
right.
But to be able to use a marionette or a puppet or whatever to throw something and break a mirror.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right, exactly.
That kind of precision.
And so this character is very interesting to me because it's almost like there's a duality in him. Mm-hmm. So we have this guy who is a brilliant artist. He just so happens to be in a medium that I guess no one really cares about.
Right.
Puppetry. And also, it's interesting to note what people usually use puppetry for is kid stuff. Mm-hmm. Stuff like Jim Henson was doing. And his is very... He's using the form of puppetry to explore things like examination of self or like sexual longing between two characters. And he does it brilliantly, but it's also not really the medium for it.
Yeah, like he's doing it on a street corner and a little girl's like, oh, daddy, look, puppets. And the puppets are like moaning and gyrating and... Yeah. That's no good.
And he gets punched out for it.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that is Charlie Kaufman expressing not feeling like he fits in sitcom writing. Because this movie is not sitcom writing.
No.
At all.
No.
So if this is the kind of thing that he wants to write... then I could see how... I love the Drew Carey Show, but I can see how writing for the Drew Carey Show would make him feel trapped.
Sure.
In a medium that does not fit how he wants to express himself artistically.
Well, as things go on with the puppets, we see he makes puppets that look like people that he knows, like his wife or the woman he works with that he wants to sleep with.
Yep.
And you know what it kind of reminds me of? The Sims.
Sure.
Because, I mean, it didn't even occur to me that it's weird to make people in The Sims, but apparently it is, but I do it all the time. And I'm sure other people do.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, and being able to like control and basically telling a story, it's like playing with dolls. It's like the same thing, but like I get the appeal of it.
Yeah.
I really do.
No, it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so this character, he starts out... like I said, exploring these interesting ideas, being very high-minded, philosophical, a little bit lazy, too, because he doesn't want to work. Mm-hmm. But he does go out and get a job at his wife's urging. And, like, he's talking to the monkey, the chimpanzee, and he says something to the effect of, hey, you're lucky, consciousness... is a nightmare, is overrated, or something like that. Like consciousness is a burden. So he's talking about these philosophical ideas. He discovers this door that is a portal to being inside John Malkovich. And he runs off and tells, like you said, the woman that at work that he's like obsessed with. Mm-hmm. And the first things he says are like, this discovery raises all sorts of philosophical questions about like the self and the duality of man and mind body, and it's a lot of like Descartes type stuff, right, that he's talking about. And she immediately is like, what I think is hilarious too is no one questions this. Anytime someone hears about it, no one. That's another artifice of the movie, is that no one ever questions, like, prove it, or like no one's skeptical. They just immediately believe this, and she immediately is like, let's sell tickets to it.
Right, let's make money off of it.
It's very much like the like he's the spiritualist or whatever, she's the capitalist.
Well, anything people make, they immediately want to figure out how to either make money from it or have sex with it.
Yeah, for sure.
And they do both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. They do. You could read this almost like the evolution of movies itself. Honestly, like he's thinking about it. What does this mean for humanity in an artistic sense? Because he's an artist, and the producers and the movie industry or whatever is thinking of it as like, how do we make money off of this kind of thing? And it's the fight between those two things. I mean, obviously this movie has a lot to say because it's related to being inside of an actor, and there's lots of things that we could really go into depth about what this has to say about the movie industry as a whole. I think it's very interesting and telling. John Malkovich is this like tortured artist or whatever, and they go into his psyche, and all these things in his psyche are like pain and trauma and stuff like that. And it's like everyone likes to glorify the tortured artist and everything, but it's just trauma.
Yeah.
It's just it's just a kid sitting in a rocking chair in the basement, like repeating the same thing to himself over and over again. Like, it's fucked up.
It's sad.
And it's like, that's the kind of thing that we talk about when we're talking about tortured artists. I think it has a lot to say about things like that. And
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking, I didn't mean to like check out on you, but I'm just thinking about it. Like it was horrifying, but I mean, I think the main character, whatever the fuck his name is,
I'll think of it,
is also, a tortured artist. I mean,
they both are, for sure.
We don't know what his childhood trauma was or anything, but I mean, like, the fact that what appeals to him is to be somebody else. Like, he says a bunch of times he wants to wear someone else's skin, basically, and that's exactly what he ends up doing, but it's what he's trying to do with the puppets.
Well, I think the movie is very much about control, and maybe the illusion of control, in a way. I think that's maybe a like on the nose reading of it, but I do think that there's a big element of that, and I think it has a lot to do with artistic control. How much an artist is in control of his or her form, because like as a writer, I mean, he didn't direct this movie, Charlie Kaufman, he wrote the movie, and as a writer he has a certain amount of control over it, but Spike Jonze has a certain amount of control over it too.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of this is Charlie Kaufman and how much of this is Spike Jonze. Because, like with a lot of his music videos and the Weezer music video, he has interesting ways to move the camera and to fill the space. And I think one of the things that's interesting is the weird world that they build in this movie. Just the very architecture of the building, the 7th and a half floor, the apartment, how that's dressed and everything. There's a lot of drabbiness, and then there are sparks of color that reach us too. And I think that's all interesting to build this world, and that's kind of how we explore and interact with the story, is through these artifices.
Yeah. I want to say too, like, the fact that I didn't even recognize John Cusack, I think just speaks to what an excellent actor he is, because he just totally becomes somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a long way from Grosse Point Blank or some of the other movies that we've seen him in. But
Runaway Jury.
I think they're all very good in this movie.
Mm-hmm. No, they are. And I mean, even Cameron Diaz, like, she doesn't quite look herself either.
Yeah, I wonder how much that was also like. I think that's an intentional choice to dress them all down, to like change them and everything. Craig Schwartz, that's his name.
Okay.
Because remember, he keeps saying Craig Schwartz, and she can't understand what he's saying.
Yeah. So shorts? Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I don't want this to devolve just into like these are bits that I liked or whatever. But the puppet show on the street, I thought, was a hilarious bit. I think that one of the funniest, like I think understatedly funniest things to me, and this, I guess, this will maybe exemplify the humor. So Orson Bean plays his boss, and I think Orson Bean's hilarious. He's been on TV shows and movies and stuff going back to the 50s. But he's got that he's like a Leslie Nielsen, where he can say like an absurd thing in such an earnest way that it's funny. So it's revealed it's so funny because I do have two sort of dings on the movie. Not that I think either one is a huge deal, but I think that the movie is a bit unbalanced. The beginning of the first half, well, the first, I would say 2/3 of the movie is pretty not straightforward necessarily, but nothing about this is really straightforward. But we have sort of clear delineation. He falls in love with Maxine, wants to have sex with her.
Falls in lust with Maxine.
Wants to have sex with her. Cameron Diaz's character, Lottie, also falls in love with Maxine. And then, so there's that plot line, and there's a plot line of being John Malkovich and putting people in there. The third act, so many things happen. So it's like we have two very distinct things happening in the first act that are somewhat related. And then everything goes fucking nuts in the third act. And the second thing, and so I wish it was a little more balanced.
Okay.
And the second thing is Orson Bean, this is part of the third act craziness, it's revealed that he's like the ship captain from the 1800s or whatever that built this building and apparently discovered somehow in this building there is this door. Well, I guess the door is like a representative
portal.
Yeah, this portal just existed somewhere in the sky above the land here where he built the building, and the door is just the demarcation of that.
Okay.
But he built the building and realized that's probably why it's on the 7.5 floor, so no one can really get there unless it's him. But anyway, he discovered this and has been using it to leap into host body after host body so that he can essentially live forever. Which is another big philosophical question of like the difference. So apparently the mind and body are completely separate things. His soul is occupying these vessels over and over again forever. Another thing I think is funny too is that he says 44 is the time that each body's ripe. So that means that the Orson Bean body that he's in is 88 years old. Because he leapt into that person when that body was 44, and then the portal changed to another person just born, and they lived to be 44. So he got very lucky because not everyone lives to 88 years old.
But he said that because Maxine was pregnant, that, that was his seed, so that would be the next vessel. So wouldn't you think they're all supposed to be related? Shouldn't he be related to John Malkovich then? Like, I don't understand that.
That I don't get. I don't understand exactly how that works. But because you would think he'd be Malkovich's dad then, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, or grandpa.
But I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works. But anyway, so that I think is funny. But anyway, it's revealed that he knows all about this. He's been planning this. He wants to live forever. And now he's going to bring a bunch of his friends with him so they can also occupy the body, I guess maybe take turns running it or whatever, and live forever.
So weird and stupid. I mean, if all of this were real, to be like, hey, let me tell 20 people and bring them with me.
Right.
It doesn't seem like a spacious area. And it doesn't seem like you'd really want to be stuck with a bunch of people for the next, 44 years.
Right.
Stupid.
It is weird. But it's so there are two things that happen in this section of the movie that I think, with Orson Bean, that I think are very funny. Lottie, Cameron Diaz, comes there because she's basically she's lost. So I don't even know where to begin to unravel all this stuff, because it's very hard to talk about one part of this plot without talking about the rest of the movie. Because everything is so interconnected. The screenplay is fantastic. It's really woven together very well. Because Craig is a puppeteer, he is able to take control of Malkovich's body and exert full control over it. Lottie, his wife, is upset by this whole predicament because she loves Maxine and he loves Maxine, but Maxine, who I think is a sociopath, loves being lusted after by two sets of eyes at once or whatever.
She doesn't care who's in there as long as there's two people.
She wants control too.
Yeah, and she wants the money and the life.
Because she even says, she's like, if he can control Malkovich and I can control him, she's thinking of and that's why she breaks up, I guess, with Lottie or whatever you want to call it. But she only wants Lottie if Lottie's in the male body. It's really weird. There's also some transsexual stuff that they talk about too, which is very interesting.
Yeah, because apparently she can feel everything. That he feels, so she all of a sudden knows what it's like to have a penis, and is like, "Oh, this is what's been missing from my life."
Right.
I really don't think that would be my thought.
But anyway, so she goes to Orson Beans' house and is like, "Hey, this portal to Malkovich, you know something about it, don't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." And so he takes her into his study and he's like, let me explain it to you. And he opens this book and goes through, how is there just a book that explains this insane idea?
Maybe he made the book.
I guess, but it's so weird.
It is weird.
That there's just a book.
With pictures.
And he's like, basically he says, look, when the body's 44, that's when it's ripe to be taken over.
I thought it was at their 45th birthday.
44th birthday. Might be 45th birthday. But anyway, that's when it's ripe. And he says, but if you go in too early, if you go in when they're a baby, then you're trapped. You'll be a prisoner, just able to observe, and that's all for the rest of the I get the rest of that person's life, I guess.
How did you figure that out? I mean,
yeah, that's true too.
I don't know. That's
insane. But anyway, so that's funny that there's just a book of this. And then he's like, let me invite you into the other room. And she goes into the other room, and there's all these old people. And he's like, yeah, we're going to occupy his body together and stuff, and we want you to be part of it. And then what's his name? Craig has taken over Malkovich's body. And they find this out, and they're all upset and everything. And then it's 8 months later, and Craig has used Malkovich's fame to make himself a master puppeteer and like he has made puppeteering the big thing that everyone wants to do now, and it's this really, like, everyone's in awe of him and stuff. And we cut to Orson Bean and all the other old people and Lottie watching this on TV, and they're like, "Oh, this is upsetting and everything. We got to get him out of that body." But they're all in the same room. Like 8 months have gone by, and they've just been in that room for 8 months.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's like, it's obviously a joke, but it's such a subtle but hilarious, like, you know, and it's playing with the artifice of movies and all that stuff, and it's very funny. And there's a lot of stuff like that in this movie that I think is hilarious and just all very understated.
I mean, it's interesting for sure. I guess we have a different sense of humor. It didn't strike my funny bone watching this movie. I wasn't like giggling. I mean, it was just weird and made you think a lot.
But like I said, I mean, we could tear this movie apart, not in a bad way, but I mean, like, deconstruct the movie from so many different angles. You can go philosophically about what it means to, you know, have a consciousness, what body. Obviously, the movie has a lot of things to say about that. The puppeteering angle and the control over self, you know. Like I said, character study-wise, I kind of started talking about this and then stopped. He's all high-minded and philosophical and everything at the beginning. And then, once they start selling tickets and he wants Maxine, but she only wants Lottie inside of Malkovich and everything, he becomes like a fucking baby. Mm-hmm. Like a baby man, where he's pouting and whining because he doesn't get his way.
Well, and he also becomes fucking evil.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, he ends up putting his wife in a cage so that he can go and fuck Maxine as Malkovich while she thinks it's Lottie.
Right.
That's some twisted shit. That's the kind of thing, though, that makes this movie so fucked.
Yeah. But, so, yeah, like, his character, like, devolves almost.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very interesting. At the end of the movie, they convince him to get out of the body because he thinks they're going to kill Maxine.
And he apparently actually loves her after 8 months. I don't think he loved her to begin with.
Maybe.
I mean, he loves her, I think, or at least he thinks he does, because he gives up the life that he loves, being this master puppeteer, the only thing he really ever wanted, to save her.
I love Catherine Keener as an actress. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand what the appeal is. Not that she's not a good-looking woman or whatever, but like I don't understand this character as written, why she's so appealing to both of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like she has this magnetism or whatever, but why?
Yeah, she doesn't, I don't think. And like Cameron Diaz is amazing, so it seems weird that and he's a good-looking dude. Like they play them down so they aren't as good looking in this movie as they are, but still, I mean, they're both good looking people.
Here's another thing too: what balls do you have to write a movie that John Malkovich has to say yes to, or else you can't make your movie?
But I mean, couldn't they just call it being Harrison Ford or being Richard Gere or being whoever? They cast? They
could have. But apparently, because I was reading this in Variety, apparently Charlie Kaufman wanted it to be Malkovich and was basically like, the studio was like, let's make it Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise because they're, hot young actors. And he's like, no. It has to be Malkovich or nothing.
Weird. Are they friends?
No. He doesn't know him. They didn't know anything about each other.
Weird. I didn't know who I recognize him a little bit, but I didn't know who Malkovich was.
He was in Rounders.
Okay.
It's Teddy KGB.
Okay.
Give that man his money.
Sure.
That guy.
Okay. He's not that famous, I guess, is all I'm saying.
John Malkovich. He was really good in that Jewel Heist movie, though. That's a joke throughout the whole movie. Is
right.
that like The joke about the movie is everyone knows who John Malkovich is by name or whatever. Or when you see him, you're like, yeah, I know him. But no one can say a movie he was fucking in.
Yeah.
That's one of the jokes. But I guess Malkovich read the script and was like, this is a very good script. I like it. But he didn't want to do it. He's like, I'll produce it or I'll direct it, but I don't want to be in it. And he was like, maybe we could have somebody else play me. And
that's stupid.
Yeah, well, Charlie Kaufman apparently was like, no, it's gotta be you or we're not making the movie. And so he decided to do it. Weird. But the whole thing about it's weird. Where do their bodies go?
Yeah, that's a very good question. All those old people crawling into his head, like, even if they shrink down, which I don't think is what's happening, like, their little bodies will die.
Yeah, what happens? What happens to their body? They go into... Their bodies obviously can't be inside of John Malkovich. Their consciousness is inside of John Malkovich. So it's almost like their body dematerializes while they're in there and then rematerializes on the New Jersey Turnpike.
Yeah, falling from the sky. Why? Where? It makes no sense. And they're covered in goo.
Well, they're covered in mud from the mud that they landed, but you brought this up, and I think this is exactly what it's supposed to be, although never outright stated in the movie. And I think this was a brilliant observation by you, and I'll let you tell it. But we're watching John Cusack crawl in for the first time, and his hand goes into some like goopy shit, and I was like, "What is that, mud?" And you said,
"Earwax."
It's earwax. And it 100% is.
Yeah, he's crawling into somebody's head. Why not? Crawling through the earwax.
Insane. But obviously that's what it's supposed to be.
Gross.
But yeah, so then like I said, there's lots of ways we can deconstruct it. And I wish that I had more time. 20 years from now, I might be able to tell you more in depth like different things that I think are interesting or cool about this movie. Like there's childhood trauma is a big thing too. Mm-hmm. Even the chimpanzee has childhood trauma.
Yeah,
and he overcomes.
And I thought it was kind of fucked up too that he says to him, "Oh, consciousness is a bird." Like he has consciousness. I don't know what he's talking about. It's not like he's an inanimate object.
Right.
Pets, animals, they are conscious.
Especially a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Who's much closer to a human being than most other animals.
Yeah, he even, helps the lady later. So.
Obviously, Lottie wants to mother. Mm-hmm. She has a lot of maternal instinct. She wants to have a child. She keeps saying she wants to have a child. And he's like, oh, no, not now, and everything. And that's why she has all these animals to take care of.
Yeah. Yeah, he must really not want to have a kid to agree to all these weird pets.
Yeah. Every character in this is weird in some way, but I love it because it's not predictable at all.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a kind of dark movie because in the end, John Malkovich is a prisoner inside his own body. Mm-hmm. These people, Orson Bean is a thief.
Yeah.
Of people's consciousness, committing like just the most barbarous act of thievery a human being can do, taking away someone's autonomy.
Awful. I mean, he possesses people.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah, and like, there's this one moment when when Craig, whatever, leaves before the old people come in.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm free! I'm finally free!" And then they take him right back over, and it's just like sad.
Yeah,
it was sad to watch.
It was, and he doesn't, and so. He doesn't have control over himself, and I think there's a lot to be said about that too. Like I said, I wish we were doing this 10 years from now instead of right now, where we had more time to digest this, because this is a very dense screenplay. There's lots of ideas here.
Oh yeah,
there's the idea of feeling trapped in your own skin, like Lottie seems to want to be a man.
Yeah. And
Craig, just dismisses that instantly.
Yeah. He's kind of an asshole.
Oh, he's totally like, he is a villain for sure. Like, he's the bad guy. Orson Bean's the bad guy, too, but the good guy is John Malkovich.
I mean, not that he does anything particularly great. He's the victim.
Yeah, he's the victim. What happens? So Orson Bean is with all these other people are possessing Malkovich, and at the end of the movie, he says to Charlie Sheen, he's like, "Hey, well, how the fuck would you love to live forever or whatever?" And he's like, "There's a way we can do it because they're going to take over Lottie and Maxine's child, which is fucked up."
Yeah.
By the way, this little girl is going to lose all of her autonomy too. But what happens? Like, there are all these people inside the Malkovich vessel. Are they all coming along? Are they all going to be now in there? Like, is there going to be a situation where eventually there's like just thousands of consciousnesses inside one host body?
It's like nesting dolls.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, like I said, I wish we could go into, not that necessarily would be a interesting discussion for all of you, but I wish we could go into like an in-depth philosophical discussion about it, because there is a lot of philosophy here.
Oh yeah, it could definitely be studied.
But and I think that's most of what I want to say about the movie. Do you have other things you want to say?
I think we covered it all.
I don't know if we covered it all, but we covered as much as we can. The acting is top notch. Everything about the movie is good. I think the directing is good. I think the writing, I think, is the star. Honestly, the acting is great, but I think this screenplay is maybe one of the best screenplays of the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean it's a very good movie. It's just a little, if you are like me and you have trouble with ridiculous, it's a little hard to wrap your brain around.
But it's ridiculous in that sardonic way. Not ridiculous like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
No. This is different.
It's ridiculous like a fucking Woody Allen movie would be ridiculous.
Right.
But yeah, I say go out and see it immediately. But Carol.
Yes.
That is the show for the week. Why don't you tell people where they can find their own portal into John Malkovich?
So you can write us at latefee1994@AOL.com. Mm-hmm. Check out our website at www.retrolatefee.com.
Yep.
And share the tapes with your friends, not our friends.
Share the tapes with John Malkovich's friends.
There you go.
All right, well, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.